Audience for my speech is my family. Life can be stressful for everyone, especially if you're a college student. Everyone I know is always stressed out about something in their life, whether it is school, work, or a personal issue. Everyone cannot go through life without dealing with their stress. Many people have different ways of dealing with their stress. My favorite way is painting. Painting pictures is a big stress reliever for me. I find it very therapeutic. Ever since I took a painting class in high school, it has been one of my favorite hobbies. Today I am going to identify 3 different types of paintings a person can choose from. I will describe the difference between watercolor, acrylic, and oil painting. Everyone should start off with the easiest paint to work with. Watercolor is the basic paint which people use to learn how to paint. Watercolor paints are very thin. According to the website Watercolor Courses, you have to use more paint to add more color if you want to achieve a certain effect. This type of paint also dries very quickly. Once the paint is on the paper, it dries immediately. When dealing with watercolor paints, a person needs to have the correct brush. According to Cheap Joe's Art Supplies, a watercolor art brush is used for craft painting, which has shorter handles with the understanding that the artist should be seated. An example of a watercolor painting that I did in high school is this. And you can see how it is very light painting. The colors aren't that bright unless I put a lot of paint on there. Watercolor is a very fun type of painting, but it is not my favorite type of paint to work with. Acrylics is my personal favorite type of paint. This type of paint does not run like watercolors do. Wherever you put the paint, it will stay there. Acrylics also dries quickly, but not as fast as watercolor. According to the West Craft Scholar, you can paint on any type of material while using acrylics, such as paper, card, and even a canvas board. A paintbrush is very different than the one used for watercolor. An acrylic brush has a longer handle to facilitate use while standing at an easel. I enjoy both standing and sitting when I paint with acrylics. It is good to view your painting from different points of view. An example of an acrylic paint, actually I have two examples. One is just like on a piece of paper, so with acrylics, and then I painted with acrylics on a canvas, which is a different surface. And you can tell that this type of paint is a lot brighter. I don't have to use as much, not as much as I would with watercolors. So this is an acrylic painting. Okay. Acrylics and watercolors dry quickly, but there is one type of paint that can take years to dry. Oil paint dries very slowly. This is one of the good factors of oil paints. One factor that bothers me is how difficult it is to work with this type of paint. This type of paint is thicker than watercolors and acrylics. According to Jason Phillips' studio, the slow drying properties allow the artist to work on a painting for several sessions, applying layer after layer of paint with different texture results. Oil paints are recommended for slower painters who enjoy taking their time on paintings and are not in a rush. When working with oil paints, a painter can use the same brush as for painting with acrylic paints. And I have an example of oil paint that I did in high school as well. This is an oil painting, and it's just kind of like on a carded, I'm not really sure, kind of like a panel canvas. And you can see like how the texture is different, and it's still bright. And this is just oil paint. There you go. So, oil paints can be challenging, but the result is beautiful. Painting can be relaxing no matter which type of paint it can be. Depending on a person's skill or interest, each type of painting can be worked with, whether it is watercolor, which runs across your paper, acrylic, which is more stable. Lastly, there's also oil paints, which can be hard to work with, but can give great texture to your piece. No matter which type of paint is used, you can make a blank canvas into a masterpiece.